this is Elizabeth from Gabriel Family Adventures, and today I'm going to share with you a review of the San Blas Islands, which are in northern Panama. And we went there kind of on an accidental day trip, ended up staying the night. We had a great time, so I'm going to tell you how to get there, some important things to know on your way and while you're staying, what your stay is going to be like, and then overall what we thought at the end. So here we go. A little background history about the San Blas Islands. So they are an archipelago in northern Panama, which means they're on the Caribbean side of the Isthmus of Panama, and they consist of over 300 islands, but only about 50 of them are actually inhabited by people. And it's believed by some environmentalists that due to sea level rise, some of the islands are actually going to be considered uninhabitable by the end of this century. So it is a place that is very beautiful, it's very protected, but something that I would recommend seeing while you can, for sure. The natives of San Blas Islands are called the Guna People, and they live there, and they pretty much live there full time and aren't really affected by outside settlers. That, you know, the only people from the outside who come there are tourists who are there for a night or two and then they leave. So there haven't really been any Western settlements beyond just the Guna people themselves. And so they live on several of the islands, and if you're there and you're taking a boat out to an island, you'll see that some of them are definitely more inhabited than others. And so some of the islands have schools where the kids go, and if the kids don't live on an island where the schools are, they'll just take a boat taxi in the morning and then go to school and then go back to their island at the end of the day. So it's a very mobile place where people are, you know, going around on boats pretty regularly. And how the people sustain themselves is through a lot of fishing, as well as some tourism, some revenue from tourism, and that's about it. So how do you get to the San Blas Islands? There's a few ways to go. You can come from Panama or Colombia on a small plane, or you can sail there if you want to. We were actually staying in Panama City, and so what we did is we took our rental car across Panama. It was about a 3-hour drive, and it was super windy. It was not a fast drive, and if you get car sick, like my husband and my friend Anna do, it's tough. But if you don't get car sick, like me, it's really beautiful because you're driving through this kind of jungle area. You get to see some inhabitants of Panama who are sort of off the beaten track a little bit, which is really interesting. I would bring snacks with you. There aren't a lot of places to stop if you want a drink or something to eat. And like I said, it'll take you about 3 hours or so to get across Panama, and it's not that far, but it's definitely a tricky road to go on. And then when you get to the main sort of port area, you have to do a few things. Actually, before you get there, you're going to cross kind of a border stop. And the reason for that is the San Blas area is they consider themselves autonomous from Panama. So they actually keep track of who is coming in and who is coming out every day. And so they will charge you a fee for a border crossing, and the folks who are going to be standing at the border, a lot of them speak their indigenous language as well as Spanish, but very, very little English. So if you don't speak any Spanish, I recommend bringing something to translate with, because it will be quite challenging for you if you're unable to communicate. And if you try to speak English, it's not really going to work. So, bring something to translate with, or bring a friend who speaks Spanish. It's always an option. So we were able to fumble our way through with our high school Spanish and paid our border crossing fee, and everything over in San Blas takes cash. So bring cash with you, bring a fair amount, because you're gonna have to kind of pay for things here and there. It's how the islanders sustain themselves, so it's just kind of part of the process. And then you get to the port area, you're gonna have to pay again, and this is for a water taxi. And so what we had initially done is we had seen things about San Blas Island online when we were researching what to do in Panama, but we hadn't booked anything, and we were actually talking to one of the workers at our hotel, and he recommended it. He said, "Oh, it's amazing. It's where I like to go relax. You really should do it." So I said, okay. So we thought we were just going to do a day trip. And so we just grabbed our bags and some sunscreen, and some weird voice in the back of my head said that I should pack a toothbrush. I don't know why. So I threw a toothbrush in my bag and we left. And so we got to the port area. You pay for your water taxi and you tell them, you know, oh, we're here for the day, or we're staying overnight, and they'll write it down on a board, and then they'll take you out to one of the islands. And so what they do is they kind of spread out where the tourists go, so they don't all congregate on one island. So they kind of have these set islands where they welcome tourists, and they have, you know, some lodging, and they have some food and stuff like that, but they'll kind of spread you out so you're not every single tourist who shows up that day all goes on the same island, which is kind of nice, because then you do sort of get this feeling like you're alone in paradise. So you take your water taxi out to your designated island, and it's a beautiful little ride on your boat out to the island. So we were placed on an island called Ikodub, and it was us, and there were a few other people there. There was a gal from Germany traveling alone. There was an older couple who were really into backpacking, and then there was us four. And so we spent the day, we got lunch on the island, and so the food options are pretty limited. It's a lot of fish dishes and shrimp dishes, but what's great about that is it's fresh caught. So you can see them fishing outside, you know, in their boats right off of the different islands. And so you know that that's going to be your lunch or dinner, which is just incredible. You can get things fried, you can get things freshly grilled, and, you know, a lot of rice and stuff like that on the side, and veggies. So we went swimming, we had some beers, we played a little beach volleyball, and we were having such a good time that we were kind of talking, like, you know, I don't want to get back in that car and drive 3 hours winding around, and what if we end up driving in the dark all the way back to our hotel? Let's just stay the night. So we went over to the restaurant, and we asked the gal there in our broken Spanish, and she understood a tiny bit of English. You know, we asked if we could change from just being a day visit to staying the night, and she said yes. She said it's not a big deal. They'll just call the port area so that they'll change the notes on the different boards, because they do keep track of everything, and that it was fun.
All right, first night of our private island. There's about 9 huts here, 9 cabanas, and only 2 are taken. There's a restaurant, sunset, and Lizzie Boogie's.
Fine, and she gave us a rundown of our different accommodations for the evening, and they were pretty interesting. So you could rent a hammock, which is literally a hammock strung between 2 trees, so you could sleep on that if you wanted, or you could really get fancy and stay in a hut that had electricity. And so we sprung for the hut. I think it was about $20, and it was for all 4 of us in one, and it was right on the water. And so we walked into our fancy, you know, upgraded accommodations, and there's mosquito nets, there's sheets that you have no idea how long they've been there, and if, you know, they've been washed, I don't know. But when you're on an island like that, kind of out, sort of isolated away from the world, it's fine. You know, you don't really feel like you need to be fancy, and, you know, the shower can wait until tomorrow. It's okay. But I was really happy that I had packed that toothbrush. Now, I wish I had packed some sunscreen, or not sunscreen, excuse me, bug spray. Holy moly, that evening we were bit to pieces by the bugs, and I feel like just a little bug repellent would have gone a long way. And my poor husband, I don't know what it is, but anytime we're in an area where there's bugs, he gets 10 times as many bites as anybody else. And so the next day his legs were just covered. So definitely bring bug repellent. If you go to Panama at all, bring bug repellent because it's jungle. So there's gonna be bugs. And if you learn any history about the building of the Panama Canal, mosquito bites were the things that killed most of the people who were working on the Panama Canal. So be careful and pack your bug spray. Whew. So one of these sort of, I guess you could call it blessings in disguise about getting eaten by bugs all night is that since you're not going to get a great night's sleep, you get an incredible sunrise in the morning, and it's just you, the fishermen out catching your breakfast and their breakfast, and that's it. You know, you're not worried about what's going on in the news. You have so little Wi-Fi, cell phone reception that you're not checking your social media, you're not checking your email, you're just sitting there taking it all in, and it's incredible. You just hear the waves crashing, and you know, you can definitely get the sense of why there are people who like to live off the grid and kind of live away from the hustle and bustle of everything and just head out to that island paradise. And San Blas Islands are really a place that you can have a lot of fun in, you can really enjoy, you can disconnect, you can unwind. You know, if you're like us, it was just a day trip that turned into an overnight trip and we loved it. If you're like the gal who was traveling alone from Germany, who was also on our island, she was staying there for a few days. We saw her meditating, we saw her doing yoga, you know, she's having the time of her life. And I think different people who like different types of vacations can all enjoy themselves at San Blas Islands. I really do believe that, and I think it's such a unique experience that you should definitely try it out once in your life. Panama as a whole is an amazing country. It's a place that should be on your bucket list, and not just to see the canal, although that is incredible. It's an engineering wonder of the world. But there's other things in Panama, these little gems that you've got to check out. So I recommend San Blas Islands. You can go there and just get away from it all if you want. You can play some beach soccer, some beach volleyball, play cards, read a book, meditate, do yoga, whatever you so desire, and have a wonderful time. I strongly recommend it. My final recommendations for going to San Blas Island, just a few things that you definitely need to do if you're gonna go there, is you need to bring cash, you need to bring bug spray. I highly recommend a change of clothes, and if you don't speak any Spanish, you definitely need something that you can interpret with, just so that you can talk to the folks who are living there, because it is their home, so please don't expect them to speak English if that's your only language. So if you're prepared, you'll have a wonderful time and enjoy San Blas Islands. So if you enjoyed this video, please feel free to subscribe below. I'll be posting regularly video reviews of our different excursions that we've been on in the past, as well as vacations that we're going on as a family in the future. So thank you so much, and I will see you later.